to Huripec Talks. My name is Zahara from the Human Rights and Peace Center at the School of Law, Makerere University in Kampala, Uganda. I'm also a researcher in an ongoing study by the school titled Charcoal Conflict in Climate Change Decarbonization Dilemmas, Notes of Livelihood, Nutrition, Communities, Gender, Migration, and Energy in East Africa. Yes, it is a mouthful, but it's just as important. Every word matters. Welcome to this episode of Huripec's podcast under the Charcoal Study. This episode is entitled Green Charcoal Solutions and Gender Perspectives from Northern Uganda. We invite you to join us as we explore how decarbonization and global climate change mitigation policies condition charcoal policies and socioeconomic dynamics in energy-stressed countries such as Uganda, down to the local levels, and how we can manage conflicts that emerge from this. Through this episode, we will identify local processes of energy transition in Uganda. We will analyze gendered aspects of local transitions in the context of global climate change policies. Come journey with us. To explore this topic with me today is the distinguished Miss Judith Awacorach. Miss Awacorach is a lecturer at Gulu University in Uganda, found in Northern Uganda. Miss Judith, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you today with us exploring this very worthy topic of green charcoal solutions. Out there, are you interested in research and discussions on human rights, law, peace, policy, and governance in Uganda and East Africa? Then Huripec Talks is for you. The show is hosted by Makerere University in Uganda and features experts and opinion leaders. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay in the loop with the latest research and discussions. Come along, let us listen to green charcoal solutions. Now, Judith, back to you. Judith is a PhD student at Gulu University. I understand that you're exploring the issue of green finance incentives and sustainable livelihoods of green charcoal producers in Uganda. Considering that you're handling this topic, I think you're the best person to take us through this episode of green charcoal solutions. Judith, in your view, what gender issues arise from the clean energy and decarbonization agenda? And where does charcoal fit in all this? Give us an introduction to this episode.
Thank you, Dr. Zahara and Huripec for this opportunity to deliberate on the important topic of green charcoal solutions. The issue of gender in cooking fuel is actually very key and very critical because in many parts of this country, women are at the forefront of this conversation and narrative in one way or the other, because we realize that women assume the roles of cooking, fetching firewood, and when it comes to issues of distress, issues of challenges, the women are core and children definitely. We realize that this question is very critical, especially in the Ugandan context, and this has come along with the push and pull factor of energy transition. Women are cognizant about the environmental issues facing them. We have issues coming such as floods, drought, and, agriculture is also the backbone of this country.
It's very true.
So as they are doing these agricultural roles and then they are doing the cooking roles, they are in the middle of the two coming issues of climate change. So their interaction hits the social button, the economical button,
True.
and the livelihood button per se. So when we start asking, where are the issues of gender? The story or the debate starts from the wood charcoal, and then we say this is the paradox of dirty versus clean, or the cleaner.
What makes it dirty?
What makes it dirty? What makes a wood charcoal dirty is the fact that one, it causes deforestation that is leading to the floods or the climate change challenges. And then two, the issue of indoor air pollution that is causing health challenges to the women in terms of cough, their eyes, and so forth are common stories that are told in the 3 homes.
Yes.
So that is what makes it dirty.
Okay.
Now, when we look at cleaner or cleaner concept arising from the green charcoal solutions, green charcoal is made from agricultural residues, and then they are carbonized. They are turned into green charcoal. So it is said to be smokeless, while the dirty has lots of smoke. It is said to be burning longer. It is said to be safer. And that is what constitutes the cleaner concept. So we have the paradox of dirty versus
clean. Okay.
Yeah.
How accessible is this new charcoal, the green charcoal? What would you say are the challenges? You have spoken about the advantages of it. What are the challenges? How accessible is it to the average woman in Northern Uganda?
How accessible? I'll start the storyline from its production. During our field work, our field visits, when we interacted with the society and the communities that are involved in this green charcoal production, we realized the government, under their livelihood programs, and the development partners, that is both the NGOs and the faith-based organizations, trained women. So we have 3 different models in this construction. We have those that basically mold their hands. They started this concept like from making dung. Then they got charcoal dust from the remains of the wood charcoal, and then try to mold them. And this transition into the carbonized crop residues that they have been able to mold. But this is only in terms of crisis, when someone has no way out. That is when they delve into that. Then we have this group that use the manual machines that have been fabricated from the different fabricating or metal making organizations that have manufactured certain gadgets that can also mold this. Then we have those that are using the powered machines that are automatic. Now, this takes us to the question of availability. Are they available? Not so much, I would say, as of now. We realized that this technology was introduced in Uganda around 2008. But up to now, not so many people have adopted the technology. So that means there is a challenge that makes this not available. Then I realized that for someone to competently manufacture, they need some kind of skilling, they need some kind of knowledge, they need some kind of awareness, they need some kind of gadgets that can make this. And then in many parts of the country, as we said, that many people are culturally yoked into the dirty fuel. So getting them, transitioning them from that state to the next one is a mixed, is received, with mixed reactions, because some people are seeing, the question of how would matoke taste when it is
am I able to roast maize? Can I roast my beef before with this green charcoal?
That kind of thing.
So, is it possible? Will it retain the aroma that I want from the charcoal, the black charcoal?
Yes. So while people are testing that, I realized the different regions had different kind of notion that they are taking it up with. And then I realized that the biggest consumer of the green charcoal was the poultry farmers, in that they use it for brooding their one-day-old chick. So because it burns slowly and longer, that means you have less time to wake up in the middle of the night to replenish the charcoal stove once you're using the green charcoal. So then secondly, while our wood charcoal, or the so-called dirty fuel, is available at almost every 100 kilometers, every center.
Yes.
For the green charcoal, I realized that only few manufacturers had selling points. People have to go and buy them from the manufacturing places, so that means they are not available. And the issues of transportation, that is an added cost to the manufacturer, issues of marketing, and then issues of additional funding to expand this as a business. Those have been the key challenges that I came across.
Thank you very much. And that indeed is very important, because if you see, for example, the amount of firewood, biomass fuel that is utilized by schools, by hospitals, it is almost inconceivable how many packs of green charcoal we might need to be able to sustain this. But I like the fact that you say that there are already places, for example, in the brooding with the farmers, where this charcoal is already being appreciated. But just to move us on, are there any contestations and conflicts that arise from the ongoing energy discourse in Uganda? We can see from the top level, the National Development Plan is already talking about green energy, clean energy. Even at the international level, the international agendas are going green and decarbonization. What are some of those contestations? And as you're talking about these contestations, are the expectations, are the voices, are the concerns of women being heard? Because we are talking going green, but we are still using biomass fuels in homes. What are some of those contestations that you think arise?
Thank you. Quite a number of them that I've noticed. Right from the National Development Plan, I was able to peruse through to find out, what does the policy say? How is it supportive about going green? I realized that when they talk of biomass, they are basically meaning things to do with wood remains and so forth. It was a disappointment on my side, because I expected when we are going green, we should have policy that supports the talk that we are promoting. So that brings the issue of policy versus practice. We realize that, issues of bans are coming in. Stop using charcoal. Stop producing, stop transporting. Stop transporting.
Yes.
Then the question is, what alternatives or what options are on the desk, especially for the women?
Yes.
And then we know that what we are stopping is a source of livelihood, is what people have sold for years as we grew up until tomorrow, to buy their soap, to pay school fees, to pay their health bills and so forth. So this is a big dilemma, I would say, for the women out there, because they are stranded. And we know that another thing is, in this value chain, the women are only retailers and small sellers, while the men are the producers. So that is yet another source of conflict we can talk of here. And then in the national discourse, the focus is on electricity, the focus is on solar, the focus is on urban centers. The question is, what about the rural women?
Yes.
We all agree that our rural electrification program has not yet touched base to the last
woman. Yes.
In the village. Many of them are using what we call the modern lights for a kind of lighting and so forth, but it does not prioritize the basic cooking needs of the normal situation of a local woman in the village. So this is yet another conflict.
So actually, Judith, what you're trying to say is that the policy is going before the practice.
True.
We are looking at black gold. Charcoal is being described as black gold, the income earner for many families, a source of livelihood for many families, especially in Northern Uganda. And here comes the policy that says stop the ban. Okay, and already we have the contestations in the home that it is the men that are deciding. And you've even talked about the value chain, that it is the men who are in trade. The women are left in the periphery. So now when we're talking about other options like electricity, like solar, that if what is already available, women are still at the periphery. What about when we are going to other options like electricity? Will women have a say? Will women have a voice? So that is a summary of what you are saying. But please continue with any other contestations if you have any to say.
It's okay. Yeah, will the women have a voice? You know that they don't have the purchasing power.
True.
They don't have decisions when it comes to acquisition of this, for that matter. And then,
and it also requires an investment into the equipment.
Exactly.
If you're talking about going solar, we need an investment into the solar panels. And I know that many homes are using solar for lighting, but not for cooking. So we have a hybrid of sorts. In many homes, you find there's firewood, there's also some charcoal. When the children are going to school, there's maybe solar for charging phones and lighting. I think that is the case in many homes.
That is very true. And then we are looking at, the foreign technology versus appropriateness.
Yes.
We know that our women are mostly in the informal sector. And then the technology needs a bit of rehabilitation, if I may call it, for lack of words, before we take it up. So someone is saying, when we are talking of these electric cookers and so forth, when these gadgets break down, the woman is unable to make repairs.
Yes.
And then we realize that even these people who sell solar, they'll tell you it has this 5-year warranty and so forth. But 2 days down the road, a month, it is broken down.
Yes.
The woman is left voiceless with the gadgets. So I think one of these days we are caught up with electrical waste in our homes.
That is something to think about. Electrical waste, equipment waste.
Waste or gadget waste or technology waste. I think we are harboring a lot in our homes. Things that we buy based on promotion that they are working well, and then in less than a few days, they are broken down and we cannot find the salesperson or the rightful person to repair. And
I've had stories of these LPG gas cylinders that were donated by the government. I think they were yellow in color. Many homesteads, or quite a number of homesteads, I believe in Kampala, received these. But even in the northern part of the country. But once the gas was finished, people put aside the cylinders and continued on with their normal way of life. Is that a fact?
I actually said it becomes a commodity of sale because the gas refilling is over 100,000. Someone says some of those families take long to see 100,000 solid. And when we are buying fuel of 5,000 or 2,000 in sachets. How dare can a woman who is struggling with livelihood pick? So we realize that after using it, it is done. It became a commodity of sale. You sell to someone who can be able to afford. And then they get back. And then just also to go back in conversation. While we say stop, that means the black market has been opened because people are operating, but from undercover and with even sometimes a little bribes here and there to get your way out. So those are some of the things happening because we said, is this really the rightful model? We are questioning this model. It is okay that it is being given, But what is the sustainability?
What is the sustainability? You've talked about 100,000, and I was calculating 100,000 is about maybe $25. If a woman or a family in the rural area is not able to have $25 to purchase, an energy source to refill gas, so how are they expected to work within that energy transition? And yet, compared to charcoal, a person is able to go and pick up, charcoal for the day of 1,000 shillings. I don't know, 1,000 shillings, about $2, $3 a day. Mm-hmm. That is what they can afford. And yet, of course, we've also seen in literature that says that many Ugandans live below $1 a day. Mm-hmm. So what does it really mean for us in terms of the practice? We have the policy, but the practice on the ground, are we ready for that transition?
Take it to another level of thought. When you look at this gas cylinder vis-a-vis the cultural food that we cook, someone would ask, if someone paid 100,000 for that gas cylinder, how long can it take a large family? Mm-hmm. That has not been put into consideration. Mm-hmm. That is another point to think about in our conversation.
So what I'm trying to get here is that we are getting a one-size-fits-all from the Western world to come and fit within our African experience and settings. Mm-hmm. Smaller families in the West, even the kind of houses that they have. Mm-hmm. For us here, we cook in the kitchen. Our goats live in the kitchen with us.
Our grass-thatched house.
Yes. So how are you talking about, gas and electricity? We really need to go back to the drawing board and see how do we Africanize and make indigenous some of these options or alternatives that are being shared with us.
That is very true in this conversation. So those are some of the issues that are really, really hitting or pinching the women, and then it makes the transition just noise, but not a reality.
That's true.
That is what I would say. That outside we can talk of energy transition, but down the ground,
not a reality. Noise, not a reality.
Noise, not a reality.
Noise, not. I like that one. Noise, not a reality. So if we are really to think about transitioning, we have to go beyond the noise and get down to reality and see what are the lived experiences. In fact, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the lived experiences of these greening interventions. What are the gendered perspectives to green charcoal solutions in Uganda? Is it an option? Can women access it? I know you have touched on it, but can you say a little bit more about this green charcoal?
Thank you. It is true that, women are able to touch it, but with challenges, of course. As I told you, in the model where the women have been able to make it using their hands, and then it is an option that they take into, especially when they are faced with nothing, no option. Women are creative naturally. There is that saying that goes, an African woman has solutions to problems. Mm-hmm. I realized one of the lived experience was a story told by a lady here in the city. I will not mention the location, where she was hard up. She had no fuel. She had some little food, but did not have the cooking fuel.
Yes.
So she decided to be very creative. And for green charcoal, the binder is cassava flour. She had some cassava flour. Mm-hmm. So she picked the charcoal dust remains and molded them together, put in the sun to dry. And then she had food, fuel, to cook her food. Yeah. And she had a meal for her children. And that made her to be very creative. She was able to cause impact by training other women, and think she got even help by Creek to empower her more. And she has been on WhatsApp selling and so forth. So she's been able to train other women, I think both here in Central and in Northern Uganda, on how you can survive when you are hit hard by situations. So I would say that, women have been in this green charcoal domain. Actually, from my statistics, the women are slightly more than the men. I think, if to be exact, the men were at 43, while the women were
at 57. Yes. Wow. So women are at the forefront of green charcoal.
They are.
And I like the fact that you talk about people's experiences and people's knowledge, that there is already existing knowledge about green charcoal that we can build on. This is not something that is being imposed from above. But I would also like to know a little bit more about the composition of the green charcoal. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What goes in it? And is it accessible? Can the average woman be able to access it?
Just to continue the conversation, green charcoal is made of crop residues, but you have to carbonize it. And these are maize cobs, rice husks, groundnut peels, leaves, and any other which are accessible to women. Remember, in our subsistence agricultural structure, it is the women and the children who are also still the majority at this front. When you go in many of these farms, you find the women are working hard. So I would say that the raw materials are available, reachable to women, but definitely they have other competing needs also. But as of now, I think I would say they are accessible.
They are accessible.
They are accessible because when you go to the milling sites, like in the rice hulleries, where they are processing the groundnuts, you still find heaps of these materials ready to be used for making the green charcoal. However, at that level, it is only very subsistence, only for household cooking. You cannot produce a lot.
Okay.
From my fieldwork experience, those that produce a lot are those that are having mechanized machines.
Yes, yes.
And that now poses a challenge to the women because the machines are too heavy.
Yes.
They are masculine.
Yes.
They are not designed probably looking at a woman.
Yes, yes.
This context.
So the need for physical strength for mass production of green charcoal.
So that means that in these production units, you find the men are there and the women are there. So there are still things as in the usual setting of Africanism that the women cannot do. So you'll find there are those machines that the women will not be able to operate.
Okay.
That one I faced it as a dilemma for the women that would. But then if we take the other side whereby they could mold something to come in as an option in case of difficulties in cooking fuel, there the women are at the forefront. Then when I look at the company formation, at least I found companies that were flourishing where the owners are women and then some where they are men. But if I take the statistical composition, then you'll find that the women are many, because this green charcoal also has provided employment. It is job for the youth and also the women, as we say, in the informal sector, because they are being employed in this sector, in the drying, in the packaging, and other value chain issues that are in, at least I found women.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I like the fact that we are looking at these crop residues as the biggest component in the green charcoal. And I think, for example, in the case of Northern Uganda, women are involved in the harvesting.
Yes.
So even the removal of the groundnut peels, the collection of leaves, the maize cobs, removing the maize from the cob, all that is the work of women.
Yes.
So it is possible that after that process, the residues can be taken by the women and utilized.
Yeah.
But your discussion also raises a number of issues. One is the issue of technology, that the equipment right now still requires that physical strength.
Yes.
So if going forward, we need the technological advances that ensure that we are producing massively, but also in a way that enables both genders to participate in that production. I also think that there is need for capital because these mechanized forms of production will require equipment, which also requires capital. And of course, when you're talking about the residues, I think one of the issues that we had with the biogas was that people established these biogas plants, and after a certain time, there was no more biogas. Okay, the elements for it, and so the plants went dry. But what about this green charcoal? Is there sustained production to ensure that we can have a sustained, input and output of these?
Okay, I would say that in Uganda, most of the places have 2 seasons for cultivation. So that means that the first harvest is put in, or it can be stored actually in form of what we call the biochar after carbonization and used at a later time. And then in the second season, that is towards the dry season, where there's more of sunshine than rain, they have been also able to store. Now, the only challenge I came across was during the rain season. Sometimes the rains are so much that these residues do not dry, and then that poses some kind of challenge for production. But otherwise, since the uptake is not yet still very massive, it is very, very sustainable. But I know with the improvement of technology, and the storage and other issues in the value chain. And then what is amazing is I found companies that have lived in this production for over 10 years, 12 and 15 years, that gave rays of hope that it is a sustainable venture.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. You make some key points there. But now that I would like to wind this up also to ask, what should the future look like? How do we build more culturally viable pathways, socially rooted, pathways towards the energy transition, which focus on local agency as well as gender equity? Tell us, paint for us what the future will look like.
Thank you. On this issue, I have a number of issues to raise. Number one thing in this energy transition, if the future is to be bright, first of all, we need to have a center for women's voices. I realize that, when we are talking of gender, sometimes they just take an opportunity to pick a woman to be there. That is not what we are going to do. We need to go beyond consultations and demonstration projects, involve women group right from inception of these projects and get their opinion and their will, while monitoring and evaluating and seeing how we can improve on these projects that are women-centered. I think with that, we shall be able to put women in a certain position when it comes to energy transition. And then another thing is also to support the women-led enterprises. We realize that the women being in the informal sector do not have rights to land, do not own land, or do not own those key capital resources that could make them flourish. And as you saw earlier on, instead of being key or core producers, women are at the periphery.
Yes.
We need to pick them out from the periphery and bring them as an object of production, as far as this greening is concerned, but not at the consumption level.
As a key actor, a key player.
A key player in this sector. And then I think it is good to develop hybrid solutions. So we are talking of probably machines that women should be able to operate. Of course, this was core when it came to the machines in the manual machines versus the electrically powered machines or engine powered machines. So we need to bring women to a level where they are free to explore and practice the talk that is available at that. And then another thing is, we thought instead of saying stop, ban, and this, we should reframe the wood charcoal to the activities such as trying to make people plant wood lots that can be easily harvested. I know that is happening, but not yet good enough to happen. Bring in modern killings instead of those traditional killings that takes a big chunk of wood lots to produce few sacks of charcoal. So that there is a win-win situation. If I get a one big tree, I should be able to get equivalent of fuel out of it. That is the issue of reframing. And then I'm also looking at issues is, what is the root cause of all this energy transition, if we are to ask ourselves?
Going back to the real question,
to the root cause of the problem. We know that there is a population bulge around the corner, especially in Africa, and I know Uganda is not excused in this journey. So we need to find, what can women do differently, since energy transition is a bother or it is a concern for everybody. And since women are key player, what is the root cause? How can we involve them better in these practices and so forth? And then what are the policy situations like, Are they leaving women out? Are they putting them at the forefront? What are the cultural issues that women can leverage on? What are the religious, discussions or debates going on, all this and so forth? And then what are the perceptions? What are the cultural issues that are, taking women backwards instead of
going forward?
Go forward or going forward in these discussions and so forth. Those needs to be addressed. And then what alternatives are available? When someone talked of the slack, sometimes the demand of what food I want is coming from the man, and yet the person looking for that fuel that suits this demand is the woman. So the issue is, can the men adjust to the greening issue so that you no longer demand what you would have loved to be, but you also play the safe game to ensure that the women are in the rightful position to fulfill their
duties,
Exactly.
So you're talking about a mindset shift.
Exactly.
Which will only come about with awareness raising, both to men and women, that actually this food is just as good and it is as that is prepared on biomass fuels. Yes. Anything else you'd like to say? Because we're coming to the end of the conversation. But I think what I'm getting is that there is need to build on existing indigenous knowledge. It exists, and it exists with the women. Women are key actors. Women have been at the center of food preparation and even conservation. So when we're talking about energy transition, women have a role to play as key actors on the table. Any wrap-up messages?
My wrap-up message would be that for clean transition in Uganda to be successful, there has to be reconceptualization of it as a social and a cultural process, not merely use of technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is not a mere technical issue.
No.
It is a social, cultural, system that has to change. Eventually.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Judith. And you've said quite a number of things. Gender-sensitive policies is the start to this all. You've also mentioned that reality and not noise. So these policies should not go so much more before the practice, getting us along. And you emphasized a very important thing, women organizing. Women organizing is important because when they organize, they're able to get capital to purchase this equipment. They are able to get capital to accumulate these residues, because that is also going to be an issue. Do we as a country need now to apportion and say Soroti, Eastern Uganda, that's where the groundnuts are coming from, that will be the key producers of the groundnut peels, and then maybe Acholi somewhere else they shall get the maize. So as a country, rice, there are things that we need to do to also organize ourselves in-house. You also mentioned the need for hybrid solutions. It is not going to be something that we turn on and off. Today charcoal, tomorrow no charcoal. It has to be a gradual process, one that takes into consideration the social, cultural, and economic aspects of everybody, both the men and the women. And I think what I'm really, really getting from you, the key message is that women must be at the center of this whole conversation. Thank you very much, Judith, for that. Friends, we have come to the end of our very, very exciting episode on localizing cooking fuel debates. We've been talking about green charcoal solutions and gender perspectives from Northern Uganda. None other than Judith Awacorach to discuss this for us. This podcast has helped to interrogate the conflicts that are emanating from the charcoal value chain in Uganda. Green charcoal is an alternative. It is a viable alternative. It is a potential pathway to a sustainable energy transition. And Judith has helped to clarify that women are key actors. Women have a role to play in management of the challenges of the energy transition. We hope this conversation has improved your understanding of the discourse around climate change and the energy transition in Uganda. We invite you to share the episode with your friends and networks. Please look out for our next episode as we dig deeper into the question of climate change and equitable energy transition in Uganda. Be sure to join us again as we explore even equally interesting episodes on the very interesting topic of charcoal in climate change decarbonization agenda. And once again, thank you very much, Judith, from Gulu University. I remain Zahara Nampel from the Human Rights and Peace Center, Makerere University. Until next time.
Great Britain mighty, the walls are round thee. Great Britain mighty, the gates beside thee. Great Britain mighty,